I'll give a quick intro. I'm not going to assume that everybody read the email with my wonderfully penned bio that I wrote in a few minutes. But I'm Chris Moore from Grounded Coffee. It's a business that my wife and I started about 3 years ago. And I have a degree in chemical engineering from Mississippi State University and decided to give that up to pursue entrepreneurship. So today I wanted to tell you the biggest secret to my business, but I'm not going to tell you just yet. Before I tell you the biggest secret, I want to tell you why I gave up a career in engineering to do coffee. And the answer is that I didn't give up my career in chemical engineering to do coffee. For one, I'm probably doing more chemical engineering now than I was doing at my other job. But also, I didn't give it up for coffee. I gave it up for people. I'm sure that everybody here has worked a job somewhere where you've seen, politicking in the work environment, or you've seen somebody has a great idea and then somebody else runs and presents it. Or maybe a boss does that to their boss, like, oh, look at my great idea that I had, right? I don't have to give you a lot of examples. I'm sure you're all thinking of something specific right now. But work doesn't have to be that way. It wasn't really meant to be that way. And I decided that if I wanted to make a difference, I could either try to get into management in like a regular job, which would take some considerable time and still have limited impact, or we could just start our own business. So we decided the start our own business route would be easier, especially since we didn't have kids at the time. We now have two beautiful daughters who they keep us pretty busy in addition to the business. But we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to hold the umbrella, so to speak, so that people didn't get rained on. And instead of climbing on the backs of the people working for us, we wanted to empower them to do their jobs better. Because I feel like if we can make it easier for them to do their work, they're going to do way better for us than if we were like taking the credit or trying just to climb to the top of the pile. So that kind of leads me to what our mission statement is. We're a coffee business. We do retail food service. And our mission statement is to build and encourage through service. You'll notice there's nothing in there about coffee. There's nothing in there about food or drink or anything. That's on purpose. I really think that a mission statement is one of the most important things you can do. It's kind of like the compass that we use as we're making business decisions. Everyone, I'm sure, has flown or gone on some sort of like long air or sea voyage. Does anybody remember trigonometry from way back then? Okay, so you may think, we can just kind of take a stab at business and go for it. But if you don't have your compass, you're going to be so far off when you reach your destination that it won't even really matter where you went. If a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right? But you have to guide each step into the right direction. If you were only off by 1 degree, okay, just 1 degree out of all 360, you will be like 17 or 18 miles away from where you want to end up. So it does start with a single step, but you got to make sure that you always have your heading, because otherwise you're going to end up who knows where. And that really is the secret to my business. It's not some secret recipe, although we have some really good ones. It's it's not necessarily proprietary technology. It's not necessarily location. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to do. I mean, you have to have service. You have to have product. You have to have resourcefulness and tenacity. I mean, resourcefulness. This is a napkin that I wrote my notes on. There's a lot of things that you can do with not a lot if you put your mind to it and you really want to. But if you don't know why you're doing it, it really doesn't matter. Okay? It's something that was really formative for me as I was developing my business philosophies was a brief presentation by Simon Sinek. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him before. He had his golden circle, and it starts with why. Why are you doing it? And then the second part that's almost as important, maybe more important than knowing why you're doing it, is write it down. Okay? Have something written down that you can hold yourself accountable to, or that other people can hold you accountable to. Maybe you have a business idea and it's a little bit tangent to what you want to do and you didn't even realize it, but then one of your partners or somebody from Brain Trust can say, hey, how are you building and encouraging through doing this? You know, if you don't write it down, it might as well not even have been done. So I'm Chris from Grounded. The secret to my business is a mission statement that I wrote down. We've used the same one for all 3 years that we've been in business, and I plan on using it for the next 30. So at that, I'll open the floor up to any questions.
So where exactly are y'all located?
So we are on County Line Road over on the other side of Madison in that public shopping center.
Oh, okay. Is that your only location?
That is currently our only location.
Where are you going to expand to?
Depends. Does somebody have a location and about a few $100,000 and 500 of their closest friends? Because I will put one right there.
You bring up the idea of money here with how much it was. How did you finance it?
We were extremely blessed and we self-financed. So if that is an opportunity for you, I know not all businesses can, I would highly recommend it. Okay, there are a lot of things that you can cut. Like I don't need super fancy computers. I don't need a really expensive point of sale system. I don't need the latest and greatest. I've been to coffee shops where their equipment costs easily two or three times as much as mine did, and the coffee wasn't good. You know, so it's not really your equipment. It's how you're leveraging things and how you're presenting yourself and how you're reaching out to people. But if you don't have to have that business debt, for one, I can make any decision and not have to question, you know, what will the bank say? What will my partners say? What will the business investors say? And I don't have that constant burden of, wow, I've got a major debt to service right now. So it's liberating and it forces you to be creative because you may think that an open blank canvas is the way you can be most creative. But if you have limits, it forces you to be more creative because all of a sudden it's like, everyone's seen Apollo 13, right? How did they make the filter and, the square filter and the round hole or whatever? I mean, it forced them to find a way to do it, and they did it.
Well, following up, you got your banker, your lawyer, your accountant, and so forth. When did you ever break even, and how do you handle all these other requirements on a business?
Yeah, so there are a lot of expenses. And I promise you that you will spend a lot of money on things that you wish that you hadn't, but you'll remember it. Okay, so I'll use an example from a very real example from our business. When we first started, we were staffing maybe 50% more hours than what I staff now, and I was 50% less busy than I am now. Okay. Part of it was because we weren't as good. For numbers sake, let's say I could only make 3 coffees in 5 minutes. Now I can make 5 in 5 minutes type thing. But also I just was over prepared and not as confident in it. But that cost some very real money. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars of my own money that I'm not going to get back. That's gone. It's good. It went to our employees and they were working for us and they were doing what we wanted them to do. But I promise you, I've not made that mistake since then. But to plug Brain Trust, it was not through Brain Trust, but it was through a peer saying, hey, you've got too many people here. I didn't just come up with it myself, but he pointed it out to me, and I saw it, and I thought about it, and you know what? I don't like hearing criticism saying that I'm not right, but he's right. And it has saved me, probably $60,000 since he told me that.
What I was asking too, though, was about banking, having your account set up at a bank. Your lawyer to set up your structure, whether you're LLC or a corporation or whatever, your accounting procedure, whether you're doing your accounting with Quicken or somebody else is doing your accounting, etc. How do you structure that? How did you handle that?
So for us, being we don't have a lot of weird contracts and stuff. We do pretty much just like business to consumer, swipe your credit card, it goes into my system. We try to keep it as simple and bare bones as possible. I wish I could remember which general said this. I'm pretty sure it was one of the generals during World War II that said a good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. So I looked it up. I did some research myself. I went to the courthouse myself more than once because it's not always clear what you're supposed to do. But my time does not cost me nearly as much as a lawyer's time. So we pretty much bootstrapped and shoelaced and everything we could to get it going. We filed our own LLC, but we're still using now and have had no issues with. I would highly recommend having some sort of business shield so that if you get sued, it's not going to be your house, it's going to be the business instead. We do have an accountant who files our taxes for us, and she does our payroll filings and stuff like that. But we pretty much do all the bookkeeping ourselves. With the bank, we have a relationship with the bank, but it's pretty much, I put cash in, I write checks and swipe my card. So I guess what I'm saying is that don't look behind the curtain because it's not the big fancy wizard. It's like the little person doing everything and pulling knobs. And everyone who's started up on their own side knows you have to wear a lot of hats. And thankfully, we've slowly been able to take some of the hats off, but we still wear a lot of hats even now at 3 years. So, all right, any other questions? Cool. Well, thank y'all so much for your time. I really appreciate it and hope to see y'all at Grounded someday.